I want you to imagine this, opening up your podcast app and seeing your podcast. Yeah, wouldn't that be exciting? It would be an amazing feeling to see your face, your podcast art tile right there. Your voice is out into the world. I want you to experience that too. If your dream has been to start a podcast in 2023, I have an opportunity for you. I'm starting a podcast bootcamp from idea to launch on February 1st. The cart is open starting January 2nd through January 23rd. And I'm inviting you to come and join us and a hand-picked group of people who want to launch their podcast in 2023 and expand and experience what it's like to reach more people through the power of podcasting. If this is you, I want you to sign up today. There are limited opportunities in the small bootcamp group coaching course. So go ahead, sign up on the form below. I'll post a link in the show notes. And I look forward to hearing your heart, your vision, and your purpose for this upcoming podcast. Welcome to Holistic Podcasting. I'm your host and producer, Kristin Chadwick. After being in the podcast industry since 2016, I am determined to inspire you to start, grow, and maintain your podcast through a holistic approach. If you're an entrepreneur, coach, author, or leader, you need a podcast. And friend, I'm here for you as an experienced podcast coach for over 6 years, working with numerous top podcasts and hosts. Your voice needs to be heard and your story needs to be known. Through holistic podcasting, you will learn how to market your business coming from an aligned and centered place and through intentional strategy. Thanks for listening to the show. Here we go. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Holistic Podcasting. I am your host, your coach, your podcast coach, Kristin Chadwick. And today's episode is going to be real hardcore podcast coaching. This is where life coaching, from my background of knowing life coaching and going through life coaching certification, and podcasting collide into a beautiful space to help you become a successful podcaster. We're going to talk through one area that you really need to walk through to bring clarity to your future or your current podcast. We're going to be talking about what are your values. And this really piggybacks off of last week's episode on Find Your Why. So if you have not listened to that episode, please go back and listen to Find Your Why. It's episode 56, and it will help kind of set the foundation for what we're talking about today, which is all about values. Now, values has so many different meanings out there, but I really want to hone in on what are values to help describe values versus what values are not. So values are deeply held beliefs. It's something that we have grown up believing. It's just a part of who we are. And values define what is valuable to us and what really is important to us. Values are unique. They come from the heart in our own words. It's really how you describe the things that matter to you. So much so that values are almost assumed because we forget that they are already in there because they're so ingrained inside of our hearts. It's like the DNA of who we are. And because of that, values are lived. They're actually the behavior that demonstrates what we believe in our own value system. Values are long lasting. They're really hard to change. Your values don't change easily because they are so rooted deeply within us. Values describe the things that we are most passionate about. It's what motivates us. It's why we make certain choices. Values are present-based. This isn't wishful thinking, as I'll describe in just a second. It is very, very present in this moment right now. Values are not goals, things that we want to pursue. They are not aspirations. I should be more frugal. I should have better stewardship. That's not a value. Values are not principles or statements. One area would be like, I believe that the word of God is inerrant. Those are statements. That's not your value. Values are not visions. It's not something that we see long term that has not yet happened. Like I said, values are very present. And values are really, really closely related and converge basically with your why. And that's why I was suggesting to go back and listen to last week's episode, because they really are together. It's like when you picture a circle, it is your why. And inside of your why is the values that are creating your why. So why does this matter as a podcaster? Well, it absolutely matters, because what you value is going to be important for how you set up your podcast, what content you put out there, how many times a week do you podcast, what you're going to put your energy in, what you're going to put your time investment in. All of those matter. So what are you willing to invest based on your values? Let's talk about that. So investing in having a podcast manager. So say you're new at podcasting, or you're a current podcaster and you currently edit and write your show notes and all of those things. That means that you really value how your product, like you want to be able to have your hands on all of the things. Well, if you decide to invest in a podcast manager, that means that you value your time. You're choosing to invest your money to save you energy and time by investing in somebody else helping you. You're delegating out that because that's not a value to you. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Let's see. Another example would be people investing in a social media manager because you value quality time with your family instead of creating posts for hours and hours on end. That would be another example. When you begin to plan your episodes for your future podcast, an example of values playing a part is that they help you determine what is that soapbox? What are those things that you are really passionate about? What could you talk about for hours without hesitation? I love there's a thing on Facebook where people will post sometimes like an interactive post where it will say, if you could speak for 15 minutes on a stage with zero prep time, it would be blank. And I love that question because it really just shows the values of that person. What are they passionate about? What do you take the most pride in? What excites you about starting a podcast? What are those things that you can't wait to talk about? For me, I could easily pop onto any stage and share why entrepreneurs need a podcast. Put me in a room of real estate agents, network marketers, coaches, authors. I could totally do it without any preparation because I know that I'm here to help empower entrepreneurs to get their most valuable asset out into the world through the power of podcasting. All right. So as we move forward through this episode, I really want to challenge you to pause and do this next exercise that I'm about to describe and really take time to dig into this. And I will say too that we will do these exercises. If you're wanting to start a podcast in 2023, this will be part of our program. In the first few weeks, we will hit this hard because it's going to be the foundation of your podcast. So this is a little glimpse of what we're going to be doing inside of that group coaching program where we're going to be launching your episodes. So if you've thought about 2023 being your year of podcasting, this is your time. There's a link below. Sign up. All right. So here we go. This is the exercise that we are going to do. So it's called the values brain dump. And this is a stream of consciousness brain dump of words or phrases that come to mind when you think of what you value. Again, I reiterate that this is out of your own words, but if you really struggle, I know I do, on trying to find the words, there are plenty of values words online that you can look up. I can also post a link below of one that I like, but I encourage you to use your own words or values that come out of your own heart. So for 5 minutes, I want you to just brain dump and answer these questions. What do you care most about in your life? What's really important? Where do you currently invest your time, energy, and money, and why? Okay, press pause, come back and do this, or you can keep listening and go all the way through and then come back. All right, so you're going to come back, and I want you to look over what you have written down. I want you to group together words or see if you have a common theme. And I want you to make a list of 6 to 8 different common themes that you see here. And these values, I want you to start to see there's a connection. And I want you to find a friend, find a coach, and I want you to start processing through and ask these questions like, what does this phrase mean to you? And why is it important? What's the part of this that makes you different than any other podcaster? Can you give an example of how that value influences your day-to-day choices? What's one way you already live that out now in your life? And all that you said, what are those top 2 most important phrases? Okay. Another way to do this is imagine a listener to your show, a future listener. If you don't have a podcast out there yet, I want you to imagine somebody just got done with listening to your show. What would you want them to see as the value that you are bringing to their minds and their hearts? For me, I would want to walk away feeling intentional. I would want you to walk away from this podcast episode feeling intentional, purposeful, and empowered to create a powerful podcast. So for someone who's a life coach, maybe you want to see in your imagination a listener that sees your value in authenticity. Maybe that's one of your top things, is being really honest with people. You want to sprinkle that into your episodes, like all of that vulnerability inside of your podcast episodes, because that's what you value. So sharing your own stories, helping others feel understood, and knowing that they aren't alone, that is a huge, huge asset as a podcaster. And that's going to set you apart. For another person, maybe it's you have financials is one of your values. Like you really value stewardship. So your episodes will be flavored with, how do you steward your money well? And that's really going to come across to the listener, that your values, your why, your deeply ingrained beliefs are going to come through those podcast episodes. Okay. I want to remind you again, values are not something aspirational. If you find yourself starting to say, I should be this or I should be that, then this is not a value. This is a goal. Even if you say, I will, that's a goal. Okay. So in the podcast Bootcamp course that is launching February 1st, sign up before January 31st. We're going to go more in depth into this exercise, and we're going to have one-on-one coaching inside of our group call. And we're really going to flesh it out and have you walk away with written statements of your values. And you're going to create a value statement that you can put on your desk where you could record, or where you're going to be recording, to remind you why you are starting your podcast. A value statement is short, sweet, unique statement that is unpackable, and it's always in the present tense. And I want to give you an example. Here's mine. I value helping and empowering people to use their greatest gift, their voice. I value connecting with people and helping them grow and achieve their goals. And that's what I currently do. It's present. It's almost assumed in my own being when I interact with other clients, with podcast clients. And it's just a present tense thing. It's not an attaining thing. I'm already here in this spot, and I do love helping empower people. So, okay, that is it for values today. I hope that this was helpful. Reach out to me. I would love to have you join our podcast Bootcamp launch course. If you've been thinking of starting a podcast in 2023, now is your time. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Holistic Podcasting. I want you to know that I truly value every listen. To show my appreciation, I offer a one-on-one free podcast consultation call. Whether you're wanting to start a podcast or you're ready to take your podcast to a whole nother level, come sign up. The link is below, down in the show notes. Have a great day.